Hey, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Jamal. I hope you guys are all doing well. Now today we're actually going to be doing a little modification on the Corvette Z06, so it should be a quick video. But before I get into that, I wanted to say that 93% of you guys that watch my videos are not subscribed. Only 7% of you guys are subscribed. So right now what I want everyone to do is go down below, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and support your boy. And to the 7% of you guys that are subscribed, I freaking love you guys. You guys are the real MVP. So the current world situation doesn't seem to be getting any better, and with me not being able to go out as much and not being able to eat out as much, I started thinking about what are some little modifications that I've always wanted to do to my cars that haven't necessarily been that high priority. So I started thinking, and the shift boot in my Corvette Z06 is actually something I've always wanted to change. For those of you guys that have been following the channel, I do have a C6 Z06 shifter in my C5 Z06. And so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding a C6 shift boot to the C6Z shifter. So I'm going to go ahead and do a parts overview right now and show you guys what I got and what is going to be needed to do this modification. Alright guys, so number one, obviously we have the shift boot. Now this actually is an OEM GM part. I guess there is some special edition of the C6 Corvette that came with an Alcantara shift boot with the blue stitching. So obviously I got the blue stitching because my car is blue. And then number two, we have this ring here that snaps into the actual C6 knob. Now on a C5 shifter, the shift boot just kind of sits up around the C5 knob and doesn't snap into it as cleanly as a C6 shifter does. So that was one of the main reasons I wanted it. And then obviously the third reason was had a bunch of extra money from not being able to go out, and I was trying to think of some cheap mods. And so the C6 shift boot was something I've always wanted to do, so here it is. I will say though that this part was $75, so $75 for a shift boot. You gotta love that Corvette tax. So other things we're gonna need, I got this Gorilla Tape. Obviously you guys know the deal, Gorilla Tape, one of the best tapes in the game. That's to simply tape up the existing plastic ring that holds the shape of the C5 shifter. Now since this is a C6 shift boot, it comes with a ring for the C6, but obviously it won't fit the C5, so we're gonna have to reuse the little plastic rings that holds the shift boot in place. And obviously if you guys know from C5s from experience, those C5 rings are infamous for cracking. So this tape, I have to repair the cracked ring that I have, which I'll show you guys later. And then obviously scissors to cut the tape. This is a Torx T15. This is to take off the shift knob on the C6 shifter. And then I have a stapler to staple the shift boot to that plastic ring for the C5. And then I have just a Sharpie so I can mark kind of where the stitching is on the OE shifter, so I can match it up with the stitching on this shift boot. Alright, so we've got our parts. Let's go ahead and pull that shift boot out of my car. Little checkup on the cars. Obviously I've got the Cadillac CTS-V there. It's kind of dirty because it has been raining. We did get a little break in the clouds today, thank God, so that definitely needs a wash. And then the C5 Corvette stays clean, stays in the garage. I have nothing to do with it, so I literally just pulled it out the other day to wash it and pulled it right back in. So there they are. So here's the setup that I have currently in my C5. As you guys can see, I have a C6Z shifter with a C6 knob, and then we have a C5 shift boot. So as I was mentioning before, the C5 shift boot just kind of sits up. It's just kind of stitched as like a circle, and it just kind of sits up on the shifter. There's actually not a piece that snaps or holds it to the shift knob itself like there's on the C6, so that was one of my main reasons that I wanted to upgrade to the C6 shift boot. And as you can see, it's wrinkled here because I do have it zip tied up to the shift knob. So with this new C6Z shifter, since it does snap in to the knob, it should look a lot cleaner. So to remove this, since it is a C6 shifter, we just have to pull this down, and then there's a Torx T15 screw. It simply unscrews and we're able to just pull that shift knob off, and then we can undo the shift boot itself and pull it out. We actually don't have to undo the center console to remove it, thankfully. So we just got to pull that knob off, and then the shift boot should slide right up and out. Now I should also mention that if you guys are changing a shift boot on a C5 Corvette with a C5 shifter setup, the little plastic piece here that has the shift pattern on it just snaps off, and there's a little metal clip that pulls up and out, and then on the C5 the shift knob is actually screwed on, so you have to unscrew it counterclockwise, and it should come off, and you should be able to pull that shift boot right out. So let's go ahead and grab my T15 and unscrew the knob and pull the shift boot out. So I actually lied to you guys. It actually is a T20 bit, not a T15, to unscrew the screw here that holds it in. So T20 counterclockwise. Trying to do this with one hand. Boom. Screw should just come right out. There it is. T20. Set that there, and then the shift knob itself should just slide right up, which it does. And then this shift boot, actually, little plastic ring that holds it in, just kind of undo it from the clips, and it should come right off. So there it is. As you guys can tell, as I mentioned before, this thing is prone to cracking, infamous for cracking, so that's what the tape's for, to kind of tape it back together, because I don't believe they make these plastic rings anymore, so you definitely have to reuse yours. So just keep that in mind when you're pulling it out. Be real gentle with it. So now that we have that out, we can pull this shift boot off of this plastic ring, and then take our C6 one and put it on here. So let's go ahead and move back over to the workbench to get this done. So if you actually look at the C6 knob, here's the little place that the C6 shift boot slides up and locks into, as I was showing you guys earlier on the C6 shift boot. So let's go ahead and head over to the workbench. So here's what I meant with the C6 shift boot not being able to directly install into the C5. Here is the C6 ring that holds in the shift boot, and then as you can see, the C5 here. It's not nearly as long, but it is a little bit wider, so we're gonna have to transfer the shift boot from here onto this ring here. So I'm actually gonna mark on this OEM shifter where the threading is at, so I can line it up when I put the C6 boot on here. So as you guys can see, I'll just mark that real quick so I know where the stitching's at. And then what we gotta do is we gotta pull these staples out so we can pull this shift boot off of this ring here. Alright, so I put all the staples out, but there's definitely some glue that's holding the shift boot in, so you have to give it a little bit of force to pull it off. Yeah, there definitely is some adhesive on there. Boom. Stock shift boot is off the plastic snap ring. So I'm going to tape this real quick and then pull the C6 shift boot off the ring and install it onto here. Boom. Our cracks repaired, and it should be ready for the C6 shift boot to be installed. So now I gotta pull this boot off of this piece. Hopefully it won't be as bad as the other piece was. Boom. That one came straight off. So now what I need to do is put this shift boot on this plastic piece here. Got it lined up. So now that we've done that, we can just start stapling the shift boot to the plastic ring. So go ahead and do that. Just use a regular office stapler for this. Alright guys, so I got the C6 shift boot and the C5 snap ring. It was kind of a tedious process to get these staplers to go in, just because my stapler isn't as heavy duty as I guess the ones that they use at the factory, but I was able to get it all stapled in. So now that this is all done, we should be able to just install it and snap it into the shift knob. So let's go ahead and move to the car. So back in the car, should be able to just slide this over. Snap it into place. You kind of get an audible snap when you do get it in. Boom. Looks like it's good. And then just be able to just slide our knob back over here. Okay. Take our screw. Again, T20. Screws nice and tight, and then we should be able to just take this like this. Boom, boom, and it snaps in. And look at that. Look at that. The stitching lines up, snapped in, comes up to the knob. The Alcantara looks great. There's our final result. Alright guys, I hope you did enjoy the video. I hope you guys did learn something. Again, please subscribe to the channel, comment, like, follow me on Instagram at Jamal's Garage, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.